The countdown has already started. In just 11 hours, at exactly 8:20 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, January 19th, 2026, the COMEX silver futures market reopens. And based on what is happening behind the scenes right now, there is a real, measurable probability that silver does not reopen anywhere near Friday's close. There's a serious risk that silver gaps violently higher from $89.22 straight into the $110 to $150 zone in a single discontinuous move. Not over days, not over weeks, overnight. A true gap. A situation where there are no real trades between $89 and $110 because every sell order below that level gets consumed instantly. This is not how normal markets behave. This is how markets behave when insiders already know that a supply shock or structural event is about to hit. And the evidence that something extraordinary is coming Monday morning is not speculative anymore. It is showing up in volume, in vault data, in lease rates, in overseas pricing, and in institutional order flow. Right now, while retail traders are offline for the weekend, the smartest money on the planet is positioning through after-hours channels and foreign exchanges. They are preparing for what could become the largest overnight repricing in modern precious metals history. Because when the bell rings on Monday and price discovery resumes, the market is going to realize something very uncomfortable. The silver that existed at $89 on Friday simply does not exist at $89 anymore, and the repricing will not be polite. It will be fast, violent, and irreversible. Let's start with Friday's close, because that sets the baseline. Silver ended regular COMEX trading on Friday, January 17th at $89.22 per ounce. That was a modest pullback from the all-time nominal high near $92.50 hit earlier in the week. The official story is simple. Silver ran too far too fast. Traders took profits. Normal volatility. But that story collapses the moment you look at what actually happened in the final 90 minutes of trading. Between 2:00 p.m. and the 3:30 p.m. close, silver futures volume exploded. Roughly 14,000 contracts traded in the final hour alone. That represents about 70 million ounces of notional silver. That is completely abnormal for a Friday afternoon. Fridays are usually dead. Traders reduce risk before the weekend. But this Friday was the opposite. Institutions were not closing positions. They were opening them. They were buying aggressively between $88 and $89, even though silver had traded as low as $86 earlier in the day. Why would they do that? Because they know $89 is not coming back. Now let's talk about what happened after the closing bell. After-hours trading continued into the evening, and several massive block trades hit the tape. A 2,200 contract block at $89.40. That's 11 million ounces. Another 5,800 contracts at $89.75. That's 9 million ounces. And a final block of 3,000 contracts at $90. That's 15 million ounces. In total, roughly 35 million ounces were bought after hours at prices above the official close. Who does that on a Friday night? Only people who believe Monday's price will be much higher than Friday's. Now look at what happened overseas. While COMEX is closed, silver trades continuously in Asia and the Middle East. And the physical market has completely detached from paper pricing. On Saturday, January 18th, physical silver in Shanghai was trading at a $10 to $12 premium over the COMEX close. That puts real metal near $99 to $101 per ounce. In Tokyo, premiums reached about $14. That implies prices near $130. In Dubai, premiums hit $16. That implies prices near $105. These are not retail coin premiums. These are institutional good delivery bars. When institutions are paying $16 extra for 1,000-ounce bars, that tells you something critical. It tells you that the $8,900 COMEX price is fiction. And when COMEX reopens Monday morning, arbitrage forces that fiction to collapse instantly. COMEX cannot trade at $89 when Shanghai is at $101. Tokyo is at $103, and Dubai is at $105. Price must converge, and convergence happens through a gap. Now look at the stress signals in the physical lending market. On Friday afternoon, silver lease rates spiked to 14% annualized. Normal is 1% to 2%. Lease rates only explode like that when physical metal is scarce and borrowers are desperate. That suggests someone with massive short exposure is scrambling to find silver for delivery. That is what a squeeze looks like before it becomes visible to the public. Now let's talk about the vaults. As of Thursday, January 16th, registered COMEX silver inventory stood at 123 million ounces, down from 127 million ounces the week before. A 4 million ounce draw in 1 week. January is a delivery month. Not a major one, but still active. There are currently 2,195 contracts standing for January delivery. That's 1,497 million ounces. And another 3,460 contracts standing for February delivery. That's 17.8 million ounces. Total delivery obligations over the next 6 weeks, 32.87 million ounces. On paper, the vault has enough. In reality, it doesn't, because roughly 80 to 90 million of those ounces are already allocated or pledged as collateral. The true free float is closer to 30 to 40 million ounces, which means delivery demand is about to consume the entire accessible supply. This is why panic is building right now. Now here's the smoking gun most people are missing: backward rolling. On January 7th, open interest in the January 2026 contract increased by 1,131 contracts, even though deliveries were happening. That is not normal. Then on January 13th, open interest in March dropped by 2,936 contracts, while January and February rose by a combined 2,195 contracts. Traders are rolling backward into earlier contracts to get metal now. That only happens when people believe silver will not be available later. Now add in the margin hikes. CME raised margins from about $20,000 per contract to $23,000 on January 6th, then to $32,500 on January 7th, a 48% increase in 2 days. And starting January 13th, margins became 9% of contract value. At $89 silver, that's about $40,000 per contract. Margin hikes near the top of a bull market almost always mark the final shakeout before a blow-off move. It happened in 1980, it happened in 2011, and it's happening again now. Now put all of this together. Physical premiums in Asia at $10 to $16, vault inventories near functional depletion, backward rolling into near-term delivery, lease rates at 14%, after-hours institutional buying of 35 million ounces, massive margin hikes, and a full weekend with no COMEX price discovery. This is a textbook setup for a discontinuous gap. When COMEX opens at 8:20 a.m. Monday, the matching algorithm will search for sellers. If there are no meaningful sell orders below $110, the opening print will be $110 or higher. That is how gaps form. If silver opens at 110, every short position becomes a forced buyer, and that feedback loop can drive price straight into the $120 to $150 zone. This is not fantasy. This is how markets behave when paper pricing collides with physical reality. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. If you do not already own silver as of right now, your window is essentially closed. You cannot buy physical over the weekend. Dealers are shut. Any online order placed now executes at Monday's price, not Friday's. If silver opens at $110 and dealer premiums jump to $15 or $25, your entry price becomes $125 to $135. The people who bought at $70, $80, or $90 will already have captured the move, and the people who waited will be permanently repriced out. This is not about speculation anymore. This is about a structural break between paper markets and physical supply. The bell rings in 11 hours. Insiders are already positioned. They loaded on Friday. They loaded all weekend. The only question left is simple. Are you positioned, or are you about to watch the largest overnight silver repricing of your lifetime from the sidelines? Because once Monday prints, there's no rewind button. Silver at $89 will be history. Silver at $110 to $150 will be the new reality. And the wealth transfer will be finished before most people even wake up. 11 hours to the bell. Choose carefully.
Hello, my dear friends. How are you? I hope you fine. So, friend, the countdown has already started in just 11 hours at exactly 8:20 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, January 2026. The COMEX Silver Futures Market repans, and based on what is happening behind the scene right now, there is a real measurable probability that silver does not ripon anywhere near Friday close. There is a serious risk that silver gaps volatility higher from 89.22 straight into the 110 to 150 zone in a single disconnects move. Not our days, not our weeks, our night, a true gap, a situation where there are no real traders between 89 and 110, because every sell order below that level gets consumed instantly. This is not how normal markets behave. This is how markets behave when insiders already know that a supply shock or struggle event is about to hit, and the evidence that something. Thank you so much.